Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together, and it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse, where we help high-achieving women upgrade their impact and their income.
And
My
one
name
of
is
those
Amy Mosser, and my sister, but we just interrupt each other
who
constantly.
likes to interrupt you. Yes, exactly. Because I'm so excited about introducing our guest because she is leveling up, right? And she does this every day and doesn't even realize it. But it's Wendy Erven, and she is our Pilates instructor where Amy and I go and have gone for quite some time, but we absolutely love her. She is magnetic. She is electric. She is going to share her story. But we're going to just turn this fun time over and let Wendy speak from her heart and just tell you about like who she is. Who is Wendy? Or I should say that college name, whatever you just said, Wendina, Janina, I don't know. You tell our friends. Wendy Janae. So take us back to college, Wendy, whatever, growing up, all the good things.
Take you back to college? Okay. Well, I
And
was that girl in the gym that had the boom box, and I went to a women's college, and I was in the gym teaching fitness to like 50 girls and no mic, and taking them through it every day. And that was
Wait, what year is this?
89 when I went to college to become a doctor of psychology.
Okay.
I went to a women's college, Cotty College. And when I was there, I saw a flyer that said, get certified to teach aerobics. And I loved Jazzercise. And since I was 16, my parents were not into exercise, and I always played softball and was always active. And I'm walking home one day and I see out of a church, there's a door, and I hear music. And so, of course, I go over there and I'm like, what is going on in here? And all these ladies like moving and shaking and wearing thong leotards and belts. And I'm like, wow, what is this? And then somebody at the front was like, oh, well, this is Jazzercise. And, it's $35 a month, unlimited. And I'm like, well, okay, sign me up. So I started going every day. And my parents were really inactive. When I say that, I mean inactive. Like my dad would say, we had some neighbors we knew, and they were runners, and they had moved from Toledo, Ohio. I never forget. And they ran like 5 miles a day. And sometimes they would be training, so they'd be run 10. My dad said, you know what? There's something wrong with people who run like that. Something wrong in the head. So anyway, I get out there and I go, and then I start buying into all the costumes of Jazzercise and having so much.
They were the best.
And then so in college, it just, when I saw the sign that said, it never occurred to me, like I would go to college and actually teach. But I know when I was taking classes, I knew my call. I didn't know my calling was my calling, but I was like, wow, Sally Howard Walker. That was her name. She was the best. I just loved her. And I loved watching her have babies. She would get pregnant. She just kept going, and her husband was in there. And I was like, that is the kind of life. That's exactly what I want right there. And then I went to school to become a doctor of psychology. And in the meantime, saw the sign, went and got my certification, went back, was teaching everybody every day. We'd go, and then we'd go over and have dinner. And so I just taught all the time. And then after about 2 years of psychology, I was like, wait a minute. I don't want to sit and listen to people's problems my whole life. This is actually not what I want to do. So when I told my parents, yeah, I'm going to change my major to fitness management, they were like, my dad said, are you kidding? We're paying for you to go to college to teach people how to do jumping jacks. And so that was my college experience. But I did graduate. I finished there, and I went out and graduated from Chico State University, and fitness management's under the rec umbrella, recreation administration. They've got like parks and restaurant management, fitness management. And there was no doubt. I mean, we had a class where I was in, and I manifested this so far back. It's so funny because, in hindsight, right? I had one of the best classes led by somebody who was he wasn't like a professor. He was a professor, but he wasn't the usual. He was like head of the Chamber of Commerce. He had us do not just memorize stuff. He had us write, like, you can write a business plan. And so I was like, what? You want me to dream up my dream business? So I did. And I wrote, and it was so much fun. And so I wrote my dream business of exactly what I would want to do. And you can't believe, now, of course, Pilates wasn't around for me, and that I didn't even know what a reformer was, Pilates was in that day and age. But in the end, here I am owning exactly what I wanted to in college. And I'm totally happy doing it. I just, I am happy to be in there teaching and love my team. My team is awesome and our members are amazing. And we just attract the best people. It's amazing.
Okay, I want to go back there. You just said, I dreamt up something that I didn't even know existed. I think that's so powerful, especially for somebody younger that is hearing this or older. It doesn't matter what age you are, but it didn't even exist. And that's part of Amy's favorite, I don't know if you want to quote, is, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And you put that to use. You were like, oh my gosh, write up a business plan. What college professor? Now, today they might, but not back then, not back when you and I were going to college and Amy. So I love that. So take us through that a little bit. So you get out, you get into fitness, you're in California.
Yeah, I left. Actually, I went to Tennessee Fitness Spa and Resort as internship after that. So out of college, then you have to do time. You have to do time.
And these were
I do time.
I was going to say, back in our day, they were unpaid internships.
No, I know that. Yeah, I was like the queen of, I was paid.
Whoa.
My.
And I got room and board. I wasn't paid well, but I was paid. And so basically but in internships, how they work you, I would literally get up and I'd get up at 6 in the morning and I would take people, they had the A group, B group, C group. That's not where I got the ABC for 10. But the A group was the fastest people. B group was like the mediocre, tempo pay. C group was like, okay, they're going to be really slow. And so every week when we got the new people in, I would be assessing them with other people assessing, and I would be assessing like, oh crap, who runs the fastest? Because I would have to lead that group. And this is in the mountains. And they literally, one of the things was called Thursdays walk was called Satan's Hill. Anyway, though, I would lead that walk and then come back and lead a stretch class. Then I would go shower, go have breakfast with people. Then I would teach, I think it was a 9 o'clock class. I would teach, step aerobics. 10 o'clock would be like a sculpting kind of a class. 11 o'clock, I could go shower again, get ready for lunch. I was starving. And then I would come, and then I would have at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock was circuit. I loved that because I was in training people. Nobody ever really showed up, but if they did, I would train them on machine. And then that was like, I was not physically doing stuff. And then we'd go to the 3 o'clock. There was another, like a step or a cardio or some kind of a, high energy class. And there were other classes going on too, but 4 o'clock every day was the Aquasize, which I knew would be part of the deal. So I did Aquasize, and then 5 o'clock, got ready for dinner. 6, 7, I would lead some kind of an event, like teaching people how to meditate, or I would go on my days off into the bars to learn how to country dance or country line dance, so I could teach them how to do that. And that is where my vocal nodules really came from, because I know somebody from Nashville came down. And she always came down there, and she had videos for instructors on how to save your voice. And when I was assessing the first time I met her, she was like a voice coach for singers in Nashville. And she said, oh, stop. I can't even hear you talk. And so anyway, long story short, I'd go to Nashville and work with her once a month. She would come down often, and she'd always get personal training from me when she came down. But that was the Tennessee Fitness Spa and Resort, and I was starving. That is where I learned to eat. They had a small mini fridge that it was open to everybody. They would give you meals, but they had a small mini fridge that had very small apples, but I'm sure they were organic. You could just tell that look, right? And because we've been apple picking.
Yeah.
They had little apples. And inside of the fridge, they had small red potatoes that were wrapped up in tin foil. And then on top of the fridge, they had little packets of mustard. And I'm like, what are these for? And then I realized how good potatoes with mustard. Oh, you couldn't find me. I was
try it.
That fridge eating, because I'm eating what these people are eating. They don't give seconds. I was starving.
That is great.
Well, here's what I love that you just said. Meditation. Again, is this like 1994 maybe? I think meditation today, people are still scared, and you were teaching meditation back then. So
Yeah.
that is absolutely so cool, which is
Biodot at that time because people didn't understand it. Like, so I was like, I'm going to, and I got that really quickly that they didn't understand what it was doing to them. And I thought, well, I got to get something to show them what's happening in their body. So these little biodots, I don't know if you ever heard them, but they're like mood rings, and it goes on their hand and they're like, oh boy. And you tell them, you give them the chart, they know what it means. And then you take them through the meditation. They're like, what the, yeah, because this totally has to do with your whole body is responding to what's going on here. And then those got very popular. People would be wearing them through the week because they were now assessing what they were doing. And then, yeah, it was awesome.
Did you take that, Wendy, with you to California, then back to when you kind of started? And because you have a really cool experience about starting your own place, right? And I don't even know how old you were, but the thing Amy and I were saying we love about you is, I swear, you get an intuitive download and you immediately go to work. You're like, okay, you take inspired action. You don't even question it. You're not even like, how's this going to work out? That's pretty amazing. So take us back to like when you opened that fitness studio.
Club Spa or West Train?
Club
Okay,
Spa.
so Club Spa, we had that in Minden, Nevada, and that is right down at the base of Job's Peak. And it was small group training. So everybody who was there was in some kind of a small group training class or personal training. So it's kind of like what we're doing now at Core 10, where it's small groups. It's like 11 people. So, and I always felt like this is the best way to connect with people and really help them, because I've had years of teaching 50 people. And for me personally, I don't get anything out of seeing the same 50 people for 5 years and they don't change at all. And I just know when you work with people one-on-one or in small groups, you could actually help people with real change. And I don't mean just change in like losing weight or, honestly, most people at Core 10 are not there to lose weight. I mean, just change in life. Are they becoming calmer? Are they becoming happier? Are they becoming just more comfortable in their bodies? Are they loving themselves? And I could not connect with people as well. I could connect with my front 2 rows. And of course, I still have a best friend right out of my front row, Jenny Husted. I love her, but I met her because she was in my front row. But the people, what about the people in the middle and in the back? And it's too hard to connect. So I've always been into the small groups.
So Wendy, when you mentioned several businesses and you left one state to move to another state. Certainly you had to have felt, I know you had that intuitive, like, okay, this is my calling, this is what I need to do, but you probably felt some fear as well. Did you feel some like unknown or some like, what if this doesn't work? Or what if I don't meet any friends? Did you have to push through fear?
No, I have never had that kind of thought. Like, what if yeah, funny thing is when I opened Core 10, my husband's father said, what are you going to do if it doesn't work out? I was like, well, it's going to work out. I'm not having a plan B. This is going to go. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to have that conversation. That's kind of like,
Love that.
Like low flying, being around people who are, dragging themselves along the ground on their energy. I can't, we don't communicate as well. They probably think I'm nuts. And I understand that, because yeah, so I didn't really have a fear of it. I just know, I've always just followed my gut, really. And there's intuition. There's something different about like something in your head speaking versus something in your heart and your whole being. If you can slow down and just become one with who you are, you basically are becoming one with God. You can feel the guidance. And when you feel it, it's truly like a vibration and you can't fight it. But the problem is so many people don't sit down enough, and I'm always moving. I mean, right now I'm standing on a wobble board, if you can tell, but you have to actually, even 15-20 minutes a day, just being quiet, listening to a fan or turn on some kind of guided meditation and just tune in and listen, because you would be surprised. You won't hear anything in the beginning and it'll be hard, but the more you do it, now you start actually hearing or feeling. I'm a feeler. I don't hear things in my head or see things visually like that, but I feel it. And I know the difference is when I'm guided, oh, you have to go with it. But if you never get in touch with yourself, how are you ever going to know what you're guided to? One of the worst things you can do is like get good at something that you hate doing, because people are going to make you do that for the rest of your life. What you ought to do is find something you love doing and then just do that. My dad thought I was nuts. He told me, the whole, I can't believe we sent you to college to teach people to do jumping jacks, but far more than that in fitness, helping people connect with themselves. So that's yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yes.
Oh my
that
gosh,
is-
no.
Way off.
And I do. And that is something, being students in your Pilates studio, you can feel that it is more than that, the reformer workout. There is that beautiful energy and the mindset. It is such high energy vibration. I mean, just like you said.
There's something magical about people moving together. And I don't know if people understand that. And we don't talk about, like, there's a lot of things that go in on this, like we specifically tempo. We don't expect people to follow tempo, but there's something about a group when you move together. Think about those birds, flying together. They're in that triangle. They're going the same direction. Even if one's off, then he comes back in, whatever, they're still going the same direction and they feel the energy of that direction. And that is what happens, I believe, at Core 10 when they're moving together. Like, don't you feel that when you're moving next to people, you actually become closer to these people and you don't have to really know their stories at all. But once you get to, but you'll end up wanting to know them, especially people who are in the same class, because you're moving together. It's an energetic thing. It's not just exercising. It's way beyond that.
And as we mentioned in that last clip, I jokingly have been behind on some of the counts as I'm a little newer to this. I let Molly talk me into going to the pro class. Well, I am not a pro, but I am now. But one of my favorite things is that this beautiful class full of all these beautiful women and men, like, were guiding me. They were, as I was behind a few counts, they were like, Amy, one,
Yes.
it was lovely. It wasn't embarrassing. Like, in the past, it would have embarrassed me. I would have felt maybe ashamed, but it was such lovely energy. And honestly, I was laughing at myself inside because I thought, I mean, it made me laugh because I'm used to being really good at everything I do. I'm a work in progress, but
You are good. You are
love,
great on the reformer.
yes, but I loved that beautiful energy of helping and guiding. And like you said, you don't know anybody's story, but they were willing to say, hey, Amy, let me
Oh,
help
yeah.
you. So you feel that when you walk in those doors. It's so lovely.
It's so good. Isn't it just amazing how you can attract? You just have to put that mindset out and really the energy and just expect it. Like, I expect
Amen.
awesome people and the authentic people. And that's really what it is when you are feeling like those people caring for you and showing you how to do this, or let me help you with that. And that happens not just in your class. It happens in all the classes. Somebody new comes in and I know, like, we can't do everything. We're trying to get, all of it, but we know, like, hey, if somebody needs help, that person next to them is very likely to jump off and be like, let me help you with that. It's just an authentic caring about each other. It really does. It's so nice.
And Wendy, one thing, because this is, a lot of people don't know this about you, and we know this, but just your progression of working out and then getting the call from the Raiders to work with them, to moving to Nebraska, to eventually, I mean, having this, we're on number 97 of your workouts. And, I know when I met you, I'm like, you need a franchise. You've got to do this. This is amazing. Like, take us through that. And then also, like, how do you keep getting better? Like, I love that story about you working with the Raiders and then ending up in Nebraska. And again, everything's always working out for you. You never were like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why am I moving here? Selling your spa, moving, the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, the Raiders, getting in with them after we closed down Club Spa, sold off lots of stuff in it, and sold off the memberships to the place that was opening across the street anyway. Everything worked out as it always does. And I didn't even know it was coming when I had my son. And it was just a 2-week period of me deciding, wow, no, I'm actually not going to do this anymore. I'm a workaholic. There's obviously no doubt about it. Anybody who knows me, like, I love to work. So when I had Jake and realized I can't do both. And I mean, I worked so much, literally. I remember walking Jake after I gave birth and I was pushing him in the little stroller for the first time. And I remember calling my husband on one of those big ass phones then. And it was like, there are people walking outside. Like, I've seen them multiple days in a row. They must just walk every day. I mean, I have no idea that this went on because I was always in this, at Club Spa, creating things, working with people, talking. I mean, it was just so much fun. So, but once we decided, and I was drawn out of that, and I was led, I heard and felt the whole message of, like, this is not going to work going forward. So let's close it down and sell it off. And went to the Bay Area where now I could be my kid's mom. And then that's where, and I was teaching classes. So I would just go in and teach 1 to 2 classes a day. Jake would get his little social time in the daycare. And the Jenny Lynn, she was the aerobic coordinator in ballets in San Ramon, Danville maybe. And her boyfriend was a strength training coach for the Raiders. And she said, hey, they're looking for somebody who, and I was teaching everything there, body pump and step and all the stuff. And then also they had reformers. So I was also teaching like one reformer class, like 5 people. And she said, they're looking for somebody who can do the reformers, the yoga, and be multifaceted. So I went in and they were interviewing. So she got me an interview and I went in and talked to my future boss. And it was funny because this was back in 2000. And was it 2000? It might've been like, I can't remember the years. And yeah, it might've been a little before. But anyway, so he said, after all was said and done, he found out all the stuff. He said, well, how much do you want per class? Now, in that day and age, $40 per class was normal in a ballet situation. I'm thinking, I live in Pleasanton. I'm going to have to drive out here 20, 25 minutes to get here. And so I was like, 75 per class. And he was like, I'm going to give you 100. And I was just like, okay. So in that day and age was just like, well, I obviously had no negotiating skills. It was like, okay. And then it took me to the family. They have a family store there and basically just dressed me. And then showed me what I was going to wear. And that was back when I was like 30.
Wearing all Raiders gear, apparently.
Oh yeah. It's the only stuff you could get in there. The employees and the family of the players, they called them everybody family. So it was a family store. And so, yeah, they were just great. Oh, they were just so good. And they'd meet me at the door, because this is a different environment. I would pull in my convertible, then I'd pull in, walk in. I couldn't get in without, them opening for me. And then they would walk me exactly where I would go. If I went to the bathroom, they would walk me. They had cameras everywhere. You probably shouldn't post this stuff on, but they had cameras going all the time. And it was a challenge actually at first because gosh, at first I had to earn their respect, but I had learned also, even moving here, I had to earn people's respect. And in my life, that was my first experience. Because usually, all you have to do is take one class with me of any, whether it's step or body pump or, whatever it was we're doing. And it just was a no brainer for me. But to walk in and have these humongous people, I called my sister who's like 5'2" or something after on the way home and just said, oh my gosh, and I know what you feel like every day of your life. I never felt so small. They were humongous people, just very big, but initially they were very rude to me. They were very rude to me, burping and farting in my front row. Yeah. And so that took about 2 weeks and, talking with my dad a little bit, telling him, and my mother was a teacher, and we just, talked about some things that I was going to do. So I came in with a better plan and an intention of what was going to happen. And nobody was, after first, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks, they were not disrespectful to me in any way. And, you're not allowed to stand around and talk to them. But when they could stand around and talk, they were just real people. And they would just tell me about their families. Some of them had kids back home and they weren't with them in Oakland. That was when the Raiders were in Oakland. So that was, interesting to hear about their families and their lives. And they were just very young, so a lot of them were younger than me. And I was, 30, 31 at that time. They were just good people though, each one of them. Okay, so hold on. Almost all of them. There was one who was just always just, you could just tell he was looking for a way out of the box. But it's funny because once everybody else started to respect me, then he had to go with the flow. So then they just played jokes on me, which now that's a different story.
Yes.
Well, I love that you said earlier, honestly, when we did a little clip, that wherever you go, you're going to meet good people. And so you've continued to do that. You've built this incredible brand at Core 10 Pilates, only being in business for 8 years. When, like you said, when you wrote down your vision years ago, you never saw it as a Pilates studio. You didn't even know what that was. Tell us a little bit about, because Amy and I know this part about you, but just about how you continue to get better. Like, you already have a positive mental attitude. You are very intuitive. You listen, you take action. But how do you get better? Like, there is nobody else doing what you're doing, especially in Nebraska. But, there's nobody else putting out the kind of programming you are. So you stay so on top of everything, so sharp.
Well, you have to stay in tune with yourself. And like, I'm always in something. I've always have a business coach of some kind. I'm always in a mastermind of some kind. In fact, when I met you and you had the mastermind starting, I was like, I'm right in the middle of my mastermind. I'm in my third month. And it's a whole year program. But then that doesn't mean I couldn't go to your event when you had that fabulous event just recently. It's just that you just want to look for things to better yourself. And always I'm plugged in to when I am not plugged into people. I'm like really present when like right now, I'm just like in this. Something could be going on outside. I'd have no idea because I'm right in what I'm doing. And so when I'm not involved with people, I am always tuned into some kind of a book. I'm not a reader. I've never been somebody who can just sit down and like read. I'd have to read the same page like 4 times. But if I move, I learned this in college. If I move and I listen to things, or I would read my notes that I'd prepare, and then I'd go into the gym and I would be walking or doing something on some machine, I could actually absorb things better. So I always, every day, 4 to 8 miles, I'm out there walking, or, I've got the bike downstairs, I've got an elliptical downstairs, something to move. And then I can listen and learn things. Oh, I'm always learning something. I can't tell you how many books I listen to, how many people I follow. And again, that's just looking for people who, are at your vibration of energy and your mindset. And so and I'm very, very selective about who I spend personal time with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mastermind. Like, what is a mastermind? For people that don't know, I think we sometimes hear that word and you're like, well, what is that? What does it mean? And how do I get in one? And
well, the masterminds, I would imagine there are many kinds of masterminds. I generally go into masterminds for business owners, but I do notice in there are some people who are not business owners. Maybe they want to own a business. And that is like the best way. I mean, if you're a business owner or you want to be, you should definitely get into some kind of a mastermind, because what's going to happen is you are going to learn things from everybody, but you're going to be with people no matter what level you are. There's always going to be a few who are like, wow, how did they learn that? How did they know that? You can fly up to them, lift yourself to their level of the feeling, the energy, and then absorb what they have. Oh my gosh, it can be life-changing. This last one that I have been in, and it's just wrapped up this month, the things that I have learned, they're always life-changing. But what it is each person who's in a mastermind, you have your own, like we talked about before, the blinders, you have your own path you're on, but you're walking next to other people who are headed in their own direction on their own path, but they're headed forward. And nobody's just like looking behind them. No, you are forward focused. And you have somebody leading the group. Like you guys have a mastermind, you guys are always leading people forward, and I'm sure you're not taking people into the rear view mirror. It's like, yeah, we're moving forward. Everybody's moving forward. And as you move forward, you get into these pastures that are just like, what? I didn't even know this was here. And you just learn so much from the people and with yourself, because you're focusing on you and walking forward, looking forward, dreaming, writing things, basically planning intentions. And if you can do that, that's how you make things happen.
Absolutely. You mentioned writing things. I know you're an early morning riser. Do you journal? What does your morning routine look like?
Yes. Yeah. Journaling. Yeah. But in the mornings though, a lot of times I'm up teaching in the morning. Yeah. I love the people who come in the early mornings to classes. I just feel like I'm one of them, or I'm just like an early riser. However, I don't teach every day early. So yes, I do get up early, and I also love those times. But getting out, one of the most important things for me is getting the sun in my eyes as the sun is coming up. I think that really affects your day. I think it affects your cortisol, and it affects what happens in the middle, like right now in the middle of the afternoon. And it's not just journaling in the morning, but like I always, like when I'm getting ready, I'm tuned into, like I have a specific, literally on the back of my bathroom door, I have a laminated thing that I look at, and I just know it's just one word things all the way down, different colors of each one. And it just reminds me of, like one of the things says, I came here for fun. That is on my list. Everything is always working out for me is another. And then another line, fun, happy. There are just certain things that I have all the way down. It's probably like 20 to 30 words. And that's just me going to the bathroom. And then I go out and I'm plugged into something, and I always will listen only to it's called Morning Starters. That's what my playlist is called. So I have Morning Starters playlist, and I can just go to anything and it'll just keep going and going, and I will just be getting ready to it. And I have things that I can write on, a little post-it notes, and also a little pad that actually I have yours from your weekend that I spent with you guys. So I have that next on my kitchen, on my bathroom. So when things come, and they always do, I always want to write just 3 things that are going to happen that day, what I want to happen that day. And then later, always at the nighttime, I have an appreciation list. And I have in my room a sitting chair, and you can have it anywhere in your house. It could be the couch. But I have a place specifically. I love my chair. And when I sit down in it, then I have next to me exactly what I know, my journals, and certain books, and I can just be by myself here. And this is where I'm going to write down certain things. And I'm not like a negative journal writer. I'm really just writing, you can have sections in your journal, ideas. You can have of course, every day you can do gratitude. You can just get a journal that tells you what to write. Mine are always blank. I personally prefer just to go with, what I'm going to write down.
I love that you said you have a certain chair. Jay Shetty talks about that. I remember I learned that from him with having a specific chair, which is so powerful. I love that. And don't you kind of love, Amy, like knowing we know each other's routines, but I love knowing what are other successful people doing in the morning and at night. So that's really fun. And so we'll wrap up with this final question. And it's just really, what does it mean to live in the penthouse? What does it mean to you to live in the penthouse?
To live in the penthouse to me is really all about feeling happy, feeling the energy around me, and connecting with the energy of other people who are on the same vibration of energy. Living up in a space where I can see so much, and not necessarily see, but feel so much going on around me. Living in the penthouse just means being open, having my heart open so I can actually feel this stuff. And just, if it takes you meditating, writing, whatever it takes, everybody can get into the penthouse mindset. Oh my gosh, everybody can. But it's like anything. It's going to take a little work to get there. So if you're not hearing or feeling anything yet, you just got to sit down and just know it's going to happen, for one. But make a plan of how you are going to raise your vibration and how you are going to connect with yourself first. And then you will connect with others who will even take you more steps up, probably even beyond the penthouse.
Yeah, so good. Well, thank you so much. This is like, Molly and I both were like, oh, we just can't wait. We get to visit with Wendy this afternoon. So thank you for your time. Thank you for pouring into so many of us every day at Core 10 Pilates. And I know that you have created an incredible ripple effect through all that you have done through so many over the years with your heart and love in the fitness industry. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, friend. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll meet you in the penthouse.
Meet you there.
Thank you for tuning in today for Meet Me in the Penthouse with Sisters Amy and Molly. Please rate and review. We love those 5-star ratings and would love to have you go to our website at sistersnextdoor.com. Wow, if you love our Meet Me in the Penthouse podcast, I know you will love our 4-week class coming up. The Wealth Frequency, Tuning into Money's Energy. It's a 4-week class starting September 17th and 18th. We have 2 different times for you. Go to sistersnextdoor.com to sign up and get all of the details. Also, don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify and Apple. Give us those 5 stars and we'll keep giving you stellar content. We so appreciate you.